On the scenic coastline of Osu, a suburb of Accra, Ghana, stands an imposing structure with a history as complex as the land it inhabits. This is Osu Castle, more famously known as the Christiansborg Castle, a symbol of Ghana's past, once a stronghold of European colonists. Built by the Danes in 1659, Christiansborg's castle story is one of power, conquest, and remarkable rebellion that remains etched in the annals of history. It all began in the mid-17th century when Danish colonialists seeking a foothold in West Africa negotiated with the paramount chief of Akwamu, a leader, to build the castle on his land. They named it Christiansborg, meaning Christian's fortress, in honor of their king Christian IV. Over the years, the castle became a center of power, trade, and influence, witnessing the ebb and flow of control between various European powers. The Portuguese, Swedish, and Danish forces each had a turn controlling this valuable fort, taking it by force in some instances, negotiating purchases in others. But while these European powers clashed over its ownership, a bold figure from the Akan ethnic group, Chief Asamani of the Akwamu, would eventually write a chapter in the castle's history that would astonish all who heard it. By the late 17th century, the Akwamu kingdom had become a powerful force in what is now present-day Ghana. Known for their military prowess and strategic alliance, the Akwamu were no longer strangers to warfare and trade. Chief Asamani was one such figure who embodied the essence of the Akwamu. A successful trader and warrior, he was not only skilled in commerce, but also an astute strategist with an eye for opportunity. And in 1693, an opportunity presented itself as Christiansborg Castle. Chief Asamani's ambition was not limited to the Akwamu kingdom. He had set his sights on Christiansborg Castle, the seat of Danish power in Accra. But he knew that to seize control of such a well-guarded stronghold, brute force alone would not suffice. Instead, he hatched a cunning plan that would rely on deception, timing, and his own deep understanding of both the European and African worlds. First, Asamani moved to Accra and began immersing himself in Danish culture. He learned the language and customs of the Danes, becoming proficient enough to pass as one of them. Under this guise, he disguised himself as a cook and interpreter, securing work at the very castle he intended to take over. This role granted him access to the castle's inner workings, allowing him to study movements of its occupants, observe the ships that came and went, and understand the trading activities that took place within its walls. He paid particular attention to the schedules of traders, merchants, and visitors, as well as the comings and goings of Danish officials. With this knowledge, Asamani began formulating his plan. By 1693, the time was ripe for action. Asamani had become a trusted figure at Christiansborg Castle, and he used this trust to orchestrate his daring plot. He informed the Danish authorities that he would be accompanying a group of Akwamu leaders to the castle to purchase ammunition. This, of course, was not an unusual request, as it was common practice for traders to deal in arms and other supplies. With his reputation as a respected leader and intermediary, Asamani's request raised no suspicion. But what the Danes did not know was that these traders were in fact warriors, and their purchase of ammunition was merely a prelude to the storm that was about to break. On the appointed day, Asamani and 80 of his men, all armed to the teeth but disguised as traders, approached the castle. The Danish guards, unaware of the true nature of the visitors, allowed them entry. Following standard practice, the men were given ammunition to test before making their final purchase. But what the Danes did not realize was that the Akwamu had hidden additional ammunition, powder, and shots beneath their clothes. As soon as they were inside the castle, Asamani and his men sprang into action. The element of surprise was on their side. Asamani led a fierce assault against the unsuspecting Danes, quickly overwhelming the defenders. Governor Jansen, who was in command of Christiansborg Castle at the time, was severely wounded in the attack. he managed to escape to the nearby Fort Christiansborg, but many of his men were not so lucky. Several Danish merchants and officials were captured by the Akwamu, while others were injured or killed in the ensuing battle. In one swift and calculated strike, Asamani had seized control of Christiansborg Castle. With the castle firmly under his control, Chief Asamani declared himself governor of Christiansborg Castle. For the next year, he ruled the castle, conducting trade with merchants from various nations, just as the Danes had done before him. But this time, the Danish flag no longer flew over Christiansborg. Instead, the Akwamu flag was raised high, a bold statement of African defiance against European colonialism. Asamani's rule over Christiansborg Castle was not just symbolic, it was also highly lucrative. He maintained the fort's trading operations, dealing in goods and resources with the same merchants who had once traded under Danish control. The castle became a center of Akwamu power, and Asamani's daring takeover was hailed as a triumph of strategy and cunning. However, after a year of holding the castle, Asamani made a calculated decision to sell it back to the Danes. In 1694, Asamani agreed to return Christiansborg Castle to the Danes for a payment of 50 marks of gold, equivalent to 400 troy ounces, or roughly $666,920 in today's currency. However, even in this act of negotiation, Asamani demonstrated his cleverness. While he handed the castle back to the Danes, he kept the keys as a trophy, a lasting symbol of Akwamu victory over the colonial overlords. The keys to Christiansborg Castle remain in the possession of the Akwamu people to this day, a testament to their resistance and resilience. The legacy of Chief Asamani and his daring capture of Christiansborg Castle lives on in Ghana's history. To the Akwamu people, his actions represented the indomitable spirit of their ancestors, a reminder that they were never passive subjects of European colonialism, but active participants in shaping their destiny. A statue of Nana Kofi Asamani stands proudly at the Atimpoku roundabout near the Adame Bridge, commemorating the brilliant strategist who for 1 year ruled over one of the most important colonial forts in West Africa. As for Christiansborg Castle, its story continued long after Asamani's reign. When Ghana gained independence from British rule in 1957, the castle became the official residence of the Governor-General, representing Queen Elizabeth II as the head of state. Later, when Ghana became a republic in 1960, the castle was repurposed as the residence of Ghana's first president, Akwamu. Today, Christiansborg Castle is a security zone, close to the public, but its history remains an indelible part of Ghana's past.